Today we're checking out my new favorite portable mouse, the MX Anywhere 2S by Logitech. Welcome to Came From a Box, I'm Sergio IM, and when I work on site with my laptop, I don't take a traditional sized mouse. They're too big, especially the gaming ones that I have, they're too big. And if they're wired, that gets in the way, so I gravitate towards portable mice like this one. This is the Logitech MX Anywhere 2S. Let me tell you why we picked it up. So real quick, in the box you get a short micro USB charging cable, your paperwork, the mouse, of course, and the very, very tiny unifying receiver. Now let's talk dimensions. The MX Anywhere 2S has a length of 3.95 inches, a width of 2.43 inches, and a height of 1.35 inches. Being a portable mouse, it weighs in at roughly 3.74 ounces. It's very light, so you can easily control and move it around. The USB to micro USB cable that it comes with is about 2.3 feet, so it's very short, but you can use any micro USB cable you may have lying around. Finally, that tiny USB dongle comes in just a bit over ½ an inch in size, but when inserted, it just about disappears. The first thing that most people will notice about the MX Anywhere 2S is that it's an attractive looking mouse. It's available in 3 colors, light gray, midnight teal, and this one is graphite. The shape is very nice and organic with strong, fluid lines throughout. It almost looks like a futuristic car. Then on both sides you'll find this geometric design on what feels like a hard rubber material to help with your grip. It's easy to hold and manipulate to use and move around. Logitech states that it's sculpted to fit your hand, and as someone with big hands, I do think it's a tad bit too small, but I will admit I have grown used to it. The advantage of that size is that it makes it very portable and easy to travel with since it fits just about anywhere, hence the name. Now this main piece with the left and right buttons is a smooth matte plastic, and towards the back it sort of melds into this other speckled plastic which decorates the edges throughout the mouse. Then we have the mouse wheel with reflective sides and a very handy rubber track down the middle that makes using it extremely simple. One thing I don't like too much is the micro USB port on the front. It's open and dead center, which takes away from the overall great design of the mouse. Another thing, unlike the first MX Anywhere mouse, this one does not include a carrying case. Being a well-designed portable mouse, a case would have been a very nice addition to help protect it in your bag. At the bottom of the mouse, we have 4 smooth rubber feet that allow the mouse to glide on multiple surfaces. They work really well, but you have to make sure to keep them clean in order for them to glide properly. While we're down here, you'll notice we don't have a removable backplate because it's a rechargeable battery. They don't want us accessing that. Sadly, that also means we have nowhere to store the very tiny and easy to lose USB dongle. Now let's move on to the dark field sensor. It uses laser optics to capture specular reflections. This pretty much lights up surfaces and then shoots that contrast information back to the sensor. That's why they went with laser instead of optical, because as Logitech states, typically, laser sensors provide a stronger light source and better sensor. In my experience, I tend to side with optical sensors over lasers, but this comes down to tracking on multiple surfaces. That's the whole point of this mouse. Logitech states that this tracks anywhere including glass. We tested it on a lot of surfaces, and yes, it actually does work as intended. It was tracking just fine on very grainy wood surfaces, our pants, glass, and even mirrors. This makes it an exceptional mouse to use wherever you are. The sensor has a DPI range of 200 up to 4000. Lower than what you'd see on a gaming mouse, but that should be more than enough for the average consumer. I say that because if you want to change it, it seems the only option is this slider with no indication of what your current setting is. So for those of you asking if this is a good portable gaming mouse, I'd say yes, but not if you're looking to highly customize the settings. You can't tweak acceleration, deceleration, the polling rate, and as I mentioned, the DPI is set via a simple slider. In the last decade, wireless technology has gone a long way, so there's not much to say about it. It's pretty much the norm. The MX Anywhere 2S has a wireless operating distance of 32 feet, which is pretty far. This makes it ideal to use with a media center while sitting on a couch, or if you have a projector that you want to use from a distance, things like that. To connect, it uses advanced 2.4 GHz wireless and Bluetooth low energy technology, both which are very solid. Throughout our testing, we didn't notice any disruption in connection from both Bluetooth and USB 2.0. They connected quickly and provided a strong signal, so feel free to use both without any concern. And that's pretty much it. It works really well. Unlike the first MX Anywhere mouse that used two AA batteries, the MX Anywhere 2S has a very long-lasting, rechargeable, LiPo 500 mAh battery. By long-lasting, they mean up to 70 days on a single charge. We haven't had it that long yet, but we only charged it once after opening it, and 10 days later, it was still at full. Personally, the battery life could have been a week or two, and I'd still be okay with it because you can simply attach the charging cable and continue using it while it's charging. It also seems to have a quick charge feature that in just 3 minutes gives you enough battery to last the day. That's pretty amazing. Now, the way you charge it is by using the included USB to micro USB cable, which you insert into the front of the mouse. Sounds simple enough, but it's actually a bit tough to insert. I'm not sure if it's because of the hooks on the cable or the extra plastic surrounding the port, but it was a bit of a struggle. To cap it off, below the middle click button, we have a battery status LED that notifies us of its charging state, as well as when it's low on battery. In total, we have 7 buttons on the MX Anywhere 2S. Let's check them out. First up, the scroll wheel. Overall, it works well, but it is a bit loose, which causes the occasional extra click. One thing that helps avoid that is a nice rubber track down the middle of it, which helps with precision. If you've ever heard someone say they love Logitech scroll wheels, it's probably because of the hyper-fast scroll. Right now, it clicks as we spin it like a normal scroll wheel, but if you press it down, it unlocks and then you can fling it to scroll incredibly fast. This makes it perfect for navigating long documents or web pages. Now on the side of the scroll wheel, we have these 2 arrows, and that's because it's also a tilt wheel, which has horizontal scrolling, left to right. Very easy to use thanks again to that rubber track, and we haven't noticed any misclicks due to it. Next, below the scroll wheel, we have a tiny but very responsive middle button. If you have the Logitech Options software installed, it will also act as a gesture button, but we'll talk more about that in the next section. Moving along to the side of the mouse, we have back and forward buttons. Not too big, maybe a bit small, but still easy to use and access. So then we have the most used left and right click. Personally, I prefer these as separate pieces instead of this single piece of plastic which extends to the back of the mouse. With individual buttons, you can click all throughout and it takes roughly the same amount of pressure to actuate the button. With a single piece, it's most sensitive at the front and gets tougher as you go back. This makes it so every once in a while I have to readjust my grip ever so slightly to make sure my fingers are on the edge of those buttons. That aside, they work really well, they're nice and bouncy, very responsive, and they have a nice audible click to them. Finally, at the bottom of the mouse, we have the power switch and connect and switch button. The MX Anywhere 2S allows you to easily toggle between 3 different connections, be it Bluetooth or via USB dongle, with that button right there. In use, it's a bit awkward because you have to flip the mouse each time to press it. It's just a bit odd. But yes, it works, and the best part is that it keeps that button out of sight. Now let's talk about the software. Logitech Options. It's nice, clean, and modern. On it, you can assign custom settings to specific applications, so if you're in Photoshop, it does this, and if you're in Word, it does that. At the bottom, you have battery and connection status, and of course, you have various mouse settings. So there's our mouse, and we can change the bindings on 5 buttons. Those are back and forward, left and right scroll, and middle button. You can assign them to do a number of things from this very long list, such as play, pause, task view, or as a gesture button. Let's try that last one on the middle button. As soon as you set it, the side panel opens up and you can choose 4 actions for each side. The way gestures work here is that you hold down the assigned gesture button and then drag in the direction to activate the assigned action. You'll know you're doing it right because the mouse won't move until you release that middle button. One negative is that there's no memory on this mouse, so these settings only function on computers that have the Logitech Options software installed. Without that, you only have generic functionality. Alright, next we have Logitech Flow. This allows for multi-computer control so you can go from one computer to the next as if they were one. It connects via your wired or wireless network, and you have a few settings you can tweak. Moving from one computer to the next, we did notice a slight delay, I'd say under a second, and that's because it works the same way as when you hit the switch under the mouse, but automatically. Finally, the best part is that you can also copy and paste text, images, and files of any size from one computer to the other. Yes, any size, but the transfer speed is only limited by your network. Overall, it works really well, and it honestly has changed our workflow. Alright, now for some quick pros and cons, starting with pros. Design. As I first mentioned, this is an attractive looking mouse, not in that way, but most importantly, it's well designed in both form and function. Next up, software. Logitech options. It's clean, it's simple, it's easy to use. On top of that, Logitech Flow allows this mouse to move among 2 or 3 additional computers and also copy-paste files from one to another at any size. Of course, we have to bring up portability. Although it is small for my massive hands, that size along with its light weight makes it very portable and travel-friendly. Battery life. 70 hours on a full charge is pretty crazy, but if that's not enough, you can charge it for only 3 minutes and get an additional 8 hours of battery life out of it. When I work on site, I use this mouse on all types of surfaces, including glass, without an issue. I don't even use a mouse pad. The dark field sensor truly tracks anywhere, hence the name. Well, I don't think it will track on water or maybe liquid, but I don't know why you would want to use it on that. And now cons, starting with the scroll wheel. When in click and scroll, that wheel is a bit loose, which can lead to additional accidental clicks. This is most likely due to that hyper-fast scrolling feature. Then we have the charging port. This is nitpicking, but I did find that charging port slightly difficult to use, but at least we can use it while charging. Back to size, it's both a pro and con. We do wish it was a bit bigger, maybe a ½ inch, because some people will find it a bit too small for prolonged usage. Finally, although it can remember 3 computers via the switch in the bottom, it cannot save your other settings such as bindings or DPI without the software installed. So there you go. Currently, this is our daily driver when it comes to working on site. It looks good, works really well, it's easy to just throw in a bag, and with long battery life, it'll be good to go for quite some time. So that's my opinion on it. Please share yours in the comments below. As always, I'll see you for the next box. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to help us out, you can do so by clicking that thumbs up button. And while you're at it, why not subscribe for more content? It's free. We also love to hear you out, so please leave a comment down below or talk with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm Sergio IM, and I'll see you for the next box.